Hey, what is up, everyone? Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler, came across this great blog about estate sale dangers and liabilities, and I thought it would be great to kind of go over this stuff. And once again, it's from estatesales.org. Definitely look into that if you guys are into going to estate sales. They have a great website where you can kind of punch in your zip code and show you like basically all the kind of stuff that is in your area within a certain radius, and definitely look into that. It's a great place. This is kind of like reverse engineering in a way, because this is estatesales.org is basically meant for people that hold estate sales and estate sale contractors, liquidators, and stuff like that. So this is kind of reverse engineering, because most people that tune into the channel, including myself, are buyers. So we wanted to go over some of the estate sale dangers and liabilities, and basically go through each one of them and talk about them, and just kind of discuss this blog. I'll leave a link below to this blog. It's a excellent read, and like I said, if you're not set up on statesales.org, you don't really even have to sign up for it. I think you can go to their site and pretty much search all that kind of stuff. I actually signed up, and I get notifications via email when there's estate sales that are local. So it's definitely something that's awesome. And real quick, for those that are beginners that don't know what estate sales are, it's pretty much like a glorified garage sale, where then usually estate sales is an older person that has passed away, and the family takes whatever they want, and then they liquidate the rest. Contractors are brought in. These are professionals that go through the stuff, toss out the bad stuff, which we're going to talk about right here, and basically sell whatever's left over that the family didn't want. So that's pretty much what an estate sale is. Those that haven't gone to a estate sale yet, at first, when I first started, it's a little intimidating as far as going into a home, and kind of looking through someone's. It kind of feels like you're looking into someone's personal effects that have. Usually, it's an older person that's passed away, so that's a whole other story in itself. So anyways, let's get into the estate sales and dangers. This was a good read. I'll leave a link below. Number one, discontinued toys. And what they mean by that, and it says tons of toys have been discontinued, especially vintage ones, and sometimes they show up at estate sales. The question is it legal to sell dangerous discontinued toys like clackers, Cabbage Patch snack time dolls, slap bracelets, some versions of Easy Bake Ovens, or jarts, just to name a few? And basically what they're saying is there's some toys that have been discontinued because of choking hazards or lead paint. A lot of older tin toys and stuff like that were produced in the 20s and the 30s, some of them have lead paint, and you definitely don't want to be around any of that sort of thing. And also jarts, and if I'm not mistaken, I thought those were like the lawn darts from the 60s that had these little spikes on them. Look that up. That's pretty funny, actually. So yeah, discontinued toys. I guess there's some people that, it's kind of like a fine line that you need to walk between these, because there's a lot of toys that are older that are collectible, and I feel like some of the estate places don't really. People that have been around for a while know what's what, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people not looking at every single thing to see what's discontinued or whatever. But it's up to the private contractor themselves whether or not they're going to sell something that's discontinued, or something that can possibly harm someone and open them up to a liability. So number one was discontinued toys. Number two is firearms. As you can see here, there's a nice photo of some, these look like older flint weapons. And it says this is not only, it's a pretty gray area, because it's basically not illegal to sell registered firearms, but they want you to contact, definitely, a federal firearms licensed dealer to handle this stuff. There's also third parties. I don't recall at any estate sale that I've ever been to that I've seen firearms. Usually that kind of stuff the family usually takes. I would say like 99% of the time the family is going to take the weapons, the guns, the rifles, all that kind of stuff. And it says right here, you can handle the sale at your own risk as far as if you're a private contractor. And definitely, I don't know anything about purchasing firearms, so that's something that you definitely need to look into if you're going to be purchasing firearms at a estate sale. Firearms is a pretty good niche. I know that there's lots of people that do resell firearms, and it's a great thing for being in this country. You're able to the right to bear arms, and as long as all the paperwork is in order and you can register it to once you purchase it, you register it to yourself, everything is legal. I know some family members that have purchased certain items in collections and things like that, and that's how it goes. So definitely look out for firearms as a kind of like a no-no. Though it says it's the legality of it all. It's totally legal to sell firearms in an estate sale. It's just definitely some issues might arise. And if you don't know, definitely seek legal advice. Number 3 is knives. It says, like guns, knives are often found in estates across the United States and are subject to state laws. Julie Hall, who actually penned this wonderful blog, points out that many states have fixed versus folded law, as well as limits on length. Like firearms, knives considered vintage or antique may be subject to even different laws, which are usually lax. And let me go over this real quick for those that don't know. A fixed knife is kind of like almost like a kitchen knife where it doesn't fold in like a pocket knife. Folded pocket knives are blades that fold into the body, and like they say right here, vintage and collectible knives fall under a certain category for that. So definitely look out for knives. I know I've seen tons of pocket knives at estate sales. That's one of the things that I've seen a lot of actually is pocket knives, and there's a lot of collectible ones. There's ones that are made out of bone that go for a pretty good amount of money. If you can get pocket knives that are in the neighborhood of $2 to $3, those are definitely great pickups. Number 4 is food. I don't know why the hell anyone would want to buy food from an estate sale. And it says it might sound preposterous, but some estate sale companies think it's okay to sell off some old pantry leftovers because, hey, they're canned. This is not okay. In fact, many states have laws requiring special licenses or certifications to sell food to the public for good reason. When coming into someone else's estate, Martin Codina points out, you don't know anything about the food, how long it's been there, who's been handling it. Selling it to someone who plans to consume it is at risk, not worth taking. Throw out all food or donate the canned goods. Canned goods last for a long time, some of them, and definitely there are some collectors that collect cereal boxes and old pantry goods and things like that. So I would just take a word of a caution if you see an estate sale selling donuts and bread or something like that. Definitely that should raise an eyebrow. Myself, I haven't said I've been to a ton of estate sales, but the estate sales that I've been to, I've never seen food items being sold, even old canned goods or anything like that. So that's number 4. Number 5, alcohol. This is kind of a funny subject here. You're likely to run into alcohol in an estate, and most of the time alcohol keeps for ages, which is true. Even though some wines, the corks tend to disintegrate over time. And when I was younger, I used to pick up some older wine bottles, and I found out the hard way that the most wine bottles that are older, the corks start to disintegrate and pretty much makes the wine worthless. And it says there are laws against selling bottles of booze in your state, and definitely concerning selling to minors and criminals. I don't know how you would be able to tell if someone's a criminal at an estate sale. It says selling half-used items is anything pretty tacky. So like like a half bottle of whiskey or Jack Daniels or something like that. It's kind of iffy. I have been to estate sales where there was cases of wine in a garage, and they were selling them by the case. And I wish I knew something about it, because there was lots and lots of old wine and just things that were sealed, alcohol that was sealed. It wasn't anything that any name brands that I recognized, but I mean, if I knew about that, I definitely would have looked into that. So definitely watch out for that. Number 6 is contraband and drugs. Just say no to selling drugs that could potentially hurt your customers and get you in trouble. To be safe, just say no to selling drugs of any kind. It's not unusual to find over-the-counter medications and prescription drugs at an estate sale. That actually brings up a very good point, because especially older people, when they pass on, of course, have medicine cabinets full of medication. Some medication goes for hundreds of dollars, so I would definitely understand why someone would want to buy something like that at a discount. Like I said, there's also disposing of medication, because it could run off into the water supply and things like that, and poison all kinds of things. So definitely there's different cities that have drug drives and shredding events where you can dispose of drugs safely and properly. The good old days, it says right here, about just tossing medications out in the trash or flushing them down the toilet. There was something in here about I think putting them in vinegar or something like that to dissolve them and neutralize them. Every estate sale that I've ever been to, I've never seen any kind of drugs or medication being sold, so that is good. It says prescription medication, including narcotics and opioids like painkillers and stuff like that. This talks about people, if you're estate sale holders, your employees, about keeping them trustworthy, stuff like that. Number C, or letter C, is marijuana. Of course, some of the states are legal to sell marijuana, and so pretty much they say just this is kind of funny, actually. Right here, I'm gonna read it. It says use your own judgment in this situation to flush away the evidence, or whatever else you may decide. Wink wink, smoke it or whatever. I thought that was pretty funny. Cocaine, heroin, etc. hard drugs should be reported to local authorities for obvious reasons. Plus, Scarface might be coming to get it, or the money for it. This is pretty funny. The blogger has a sense of humor. Probably not a situation you don't want to handle yourself. Of course not. And that was number 6, was drugs, medication, and other. Number 7 is pornography and sex toys. I thought this was pretty funny that they put this in. There's good money in some of the like DVDs and things like that. Like I said, I've never been to a estate sale where I've seen pornography or sex toys being sold. Sex toys would probably be a little weird. Definitely like that. It says also, it says here, use your own judgment. It says like cheesy vintage photos of celebrity related is probably fine for an estate sale, and will luckily sell quickly. Some companies may want to restrict sex related items in restricted room just in case children are present, which is definitely I don't think I've ever seen kids at an estate sale, but that could happen, and you definitely don't want to have that hanging around. And I like it's funny that it says the sex toys use your judgment. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen. That's kind of weird. And number 8 is pesticides and chemicals. Yeah, there's in every estate sale, there's a garage that's usually filled with spray paint and lawn items, Black Flag, Raid, all the kind of cleaners and things like that. Says there's no particular regulations concerning this, but some estate sale companies refuse to sell lawn chemicals and other pesticides because they are hazardous to people, pets, and the environment. Again, it's your call. I made a video about vintage spray paint that you can find at thrift stores, at estate sales. I'm going to leave a link up here. You should see it right here. You can learn about spray paint, and some of it's worth hundreds of dollars. Check out that video. So yeah, that's pretty much the 8 hazardous items to look for, not to look for, but to look out for at estate sales. And it goes on about other things like the environment. It talks about mold, pests, and their droppings, and estate conditions, bad lightings, bodies of water. And like I said, this was like pretty much reverse engineered. This blog is basically meant for people that hold estate sales, and I think it's good to reverse engineer some of this stuff as a buyer. The more you know, the better you're going to be. I remember when I was trying to buy a car, I looked at a bunch of YouTube videos about selling cars, people like car salesmen and their tactics, what they're doing to the buyer. So I was a little bit, reverse engineered that. So this is kind of the same thing. So yeah, that's those are the 8 hazardous, dangerous things to look out for at estate sales. If you guys have ever seen any of this kind of stuff, please leave a comment below. And I would like to hear about that, definitely. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. I really appreciate it. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers. You guys, please subscribe. Click the bell if you want notifications whenever a new snazzy video pops up. And I definitely appreciate your guys' time. And like I said, we're almost at 2,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Let's get to that milestone. So I hope everyone's having a great weekend. And we'll see you soon.